Okay, let's get right into it. Forget just memorizing a bunch of words. Today, we're actually building a toolkit. We're going to take a handful of words, all starting with the letter A, and turn them into these powerful tools for thinking more clearly and honestly just communicating way better. I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. What if just getting a handle on a few precise words could totally change how you lay out your ideas, how you see power dynamics playing out around you, or even how you handle a simple disagreement? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how. First up, let's talk about power. Our language is just packed with words that define where we stand, our status, our sense of control. And if you really want to understand the world around you, you've got to understand these words. And our first word is abdicate. Now, this is not just about quitting your job. It's a really formal thing. It's about surrendering a high-stakes position, a right you have, or a massive responsibility. It's got this real weight to it, a sense of finality. A perfect modern example, think of a CEO stepping down after a huge scandal. See, they're not just resigning. They are publicly, formally renouncing their authority. It's the kind of thing you see with kings and queens, leaders, top executives. It's a big deal. And this is where being precise with our words is so important. You abdicate a throne, that's a position, but you abjure a belief, something you once swore an oath to. So one is about your role, and the other, that's about your deepest convictions. Big difference. Okay, so we're moving on from the language of power to the language of conflict. The words we pick when we argue, well, they can either cool things down or just pour gasoline on the fire. Let's take a look at that whole spectrum. Now, here's a word you don't want to throw around lightly. To abhor something isn't just a simple dislike. Oh, no. It is a deep, gut-level hatred. It implies this sense of moral disgust, like something just turns your stomach. And this example really shows you the massive difference in intensity. Disliking something, that's just an inconvenience. But to abhor it, that means you find it absolutely, completely detestable. It's a really powerful word you save for an extreme feeling. So everything we're talking about today, it's coming straight from the source list right here. And it is just full of these potent words, like take abject, for example. It means totally wretched, completely without pride. You might hear about abject poverty or an abject apology. These words, they give us the tools to talk about really complex human situations. And you can really see the spectrum right here. To admonish someone is to, gently correct them, give them a little warning. But to abhor what they did, that's to reject it completely with everything you've got. Choosing the right word here changes the entire meaning, the whole tone of what you're saying. Okay, so acrimonious is a little different. It doesn't describe the feeling of hate itself, but the nature of the fight. It's for words that are designed to sting, to be bitter, to be caustic. It's the language of a nasty argument. And you hear this word all the time, right? Especially when people talk about politics or, messy divorces. It just perfectly captures that moment when a discussion stops being about the issues and just turns into a bitter, nasty, personal attack. All right, let's shift gears. We're going to move from the emotional stuff to the intellectual. How do we even talk about ideas we can't see or touch? And how do we describe what it means to have a really sharp mind? So this word, abstract, is a huge one for anyone who deals with ideas. It's for concepts that don't have a physical form. They exist purely in our minds and in our conversations. It really is this simple. You can't point to a physical thing called justice in the room, right? But you can definitely point to a chair. And that difference between the abstract and the concrete is totally fundamental to how we think and reason about anything. Now, if abstract is about the idea, then acumen is all about the intellect that can handle that idea. It's not just about being smart. It's about having sharp, practical judgment. It's about making really good calls and making them quickly and effectively. And our source material gives us the perfect real-world phrase, business acumen. This just drives home the point that acumen isn't about some ivory tower knowledge. It's about having the sharp mind you need to navigate real, messy, concrete challenges like in the business world. And for our final section, let's move on to something a little more positive, building things up. This is all about the language of agreement, of growth, and how things just come together over time. Okay, accede. It seems simple, to agree, but it's a bit more formal and powerful than that. When you accede to a request or a demand, you're formally agreeing to it. You're yielding. It really implies that you're giving your official consent.
To get your head around accretion, all you have to do is picture a snowball rolling down a hill, right? It just gets bigger and bigger as new layers of snow are added on, bit by bit. That's accretion in a nutshell. It's growth through this natural, gradual pile-up process.
And the world of finance gives us a perfect example. When interest accrues in your bank account, what's happening? Your money is growing through the gradual addition of small amounts. It's a crystal clear example of accretion, growth by accumulation. So look at what we've covered, from abdicating power to abhorring injustice, from wrestling with abstract concepts to showing off your acumen. These words, they aren't just definitions on a page. They are literally the building blocks of thought. They shape how you see the world and, honestly, how the world sees you. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with them?